What's going on, guys? Dino Bam Bam here with the 10-7 MMA, here with another video, and I'm here as always with my boy DS. DS, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Switch things up a little bit here.
We did.
I'm going first, and I feel really weird about it. But
You do? I kind of like it.
okay, that's cool. Are you enjoying yourself?
I am.
I'm glad you are. But guys, we are here to talk about Aljamain Sterling. As the video title says, probably the most hated fighter in UFC history. If not UFC history, definitely in the UFC now. What do you think, Dino?
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely not UFC history. I feel like there are other people. Like what's the guy that like was just came in like snapping people's arms and shit? Like
The Brazilian guy.
the Brazilian guy. Yeah.
His name is escaping me right now. Really tough jack dude.
There are actual reasons to hate somebody like that.
Yeah.
Whereas when you think about Aljo, it's interesting. Like I understand all the reasons for why people don't like him, because I was one of those people when. And let's be real. Let's put it out there, right? It's how he won the title originally.
That's the first thing. That's the biggest thing.
That's the first and
because
number
would you
one
disagree that going into that fight, Aljamain Sterling was on a win streak? I feel like people wanted the general MMA public, or at least in America, the American public.
I thought he was like a fan favorite.
Right. I liked Aljo, and a lot of people liked Aljo. I feel like
I wanted him to win that fight, but I certainly didn't want him to win the fight the way that he won the fight. And if you don't know what we're talking about, and I'm sure that you do, it's the fact that he took a knee while he was a grounded opponent from Petr Yan, illegal knee. And did he play into it? Did he not? Supposedly he was concussed, I believe. Many fighters have... I guess the key thing here is if you remove all the potential what-ifs and all these things, there have been so many fighters that have fought through devastating injuries and concussions and all kinds of things, right? So to win a title, especially in that way, it's just going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. It just will.
I agree with you. My thought process on it is, and I'm a huge Aljamain Sterling fan.
If anybody who has tuned in to us before, right, I think knows that.
Absolutely huge, my boy. My thing is like, if you're like a lot of the shit that has gone against Aljamain Sterling, and the reason that people hate Aljamain Sterling, it's like, it's really not his fault. Petr Yan was the champion of the world. And you did something really stupid and illegal. Like, you know the rules, dude.
Yeah, that's one thing that we don't talk about enough. Everybody talks about Aljo putting on a performance. And let's say even that he did. At the end of the day, it was Petr Yan that did the illegal thing. And he doesn't get enough flack for it,
Right.
I guess now you look back, Petr Yan is on a, 4 or 5 fight losing streak
since then. Yeah.
Since then. So, did Aljo take his soul?
Well, not since then. I guess he beat Corey Sandhagen in the interim fight, and then lost to Aljo again. But okay, so that happened, right? And Aljo got a lot of shit because after that, that night there was pictures taken of him put up on social media where he's like holding the belt and his friends are partying. He says, what Aljo says is, I wasn't celebrating. Like, my friends were there. We're having a good time.
Yeah, he's not. And he's just there. Like, what is he supposed to be? What does he want? Pictures are supposed to come out, and he's just in the back, like
sad about it. No, they were turning up. Like, if
that's Tim Robinson thing.
Straight up. Aww. So, anyways, then he ends up beating Petr Yan in the rematch. Unfortunately for Aljamain Sterling, a very close decision.
I was just going to say.
Which would start to become a trend as his title defenses go on, right?
I think much of this, and maybe all of this, resentment or whatever you want to call it towards Aljamain, had he had an emphatic finish in the rematch, I think we may not be having this conversation or making this video right now.
Yeah, it probably goes away if he knocks Petr Yan out or chokes him out, whatever, though. He ends up getting a razor-thin, razor-close... Ramon, shout out. R.I.P. Razor Ramon.
R.I.P.
But Scott Hall. But yes, gets a close decision there. Then what happens next? He gets TJ Dillashaw. Now the fans are like, hell yeah. TJ Dillashaw is about to beat Aljamain Sterling's ass.
If you don't like Aljo, that's exactly what you're thinking.
That's what you're thinking.
You can't hide from somebody like TJ Dillashaw. He's going to beat his ass.
Right. And what happens? Aljo beats TJ Dillashaw via TKO in the second. He gets his stoppage, but
TJ Dillashaw's shoulder popped out, and he had an injury, I guess, coming in.
Right. So now
hanging on by a thread. So again, that's not something that's not Aljamain's fault. It's not like he didn't and if he did injure it, then great.
He did, yeah.
People don't take away from Yair for beating Ortega in a similar fashion, right? So it's weird. Like, you don't see that same kind of treatment towards Yair. Like, nobody was like, oh my God, but it was like, oh, he caused it,
Yep.
So
he beats Dillashaw.
Gets no love.
Gets no love. Then we get Henry Cejudo. And now it's like, okay, Aljo.
Just a couple months ago.
You boring-ass wrestler. You just want to sit on people's backs. Guess who you're not going to wrestle against?
Olympic champion.
An Olympic champion, Olympic gold medalist, division.
With a broken freaking neck.
Right. Champ. Shout out Kurt Angle. But champ in the UFC. You're not wrestling Henry Cejudo. Aljo, of course, wins that fight, but he wins it again in a very close decision. I am an Aljamain Sterling fan, as I've mentioned a couple times already. Watching it live, I thought Cejudo may have won that fight 3-2.
I thought so too. I thought Cejudo won it.
Upon rewatching it, it's closer than I thought it was.
It's closer, but I do think Aljo won.
Right. And I think it can go 3-2 either way. But the last thing on earth Aljamain Sterling needed was another razor-close decision fight. And that's what he got against Henry Cejudo.
It's just funny, though. We will all, like, people will always make excuses for the, like, well, Henry, he's been out for so long.
Yeah.
Well, Dillashaw, well, he was hurt coming in.
Yeah.
Everybody's hurt, to some extent.
At all points.
And it's like, well, he beat Petr Yan, but not that hard. It was a split decision. It's like, okay. I mean, listen. Let's take a step back. He's been lucky. He's had some luck.
Sure. Yeah.
But also,
he's been very unlucky in that luck, though, Dino.
Yeah.
By being the most hated guy. Yeah.
But also, these are still the cream of the crop. These are all either former champions, former double champions, goats of the sport,
Olympic gold medalists, cheaters in terms of Dillashaw. Like, for what it's worth, TJ Dillashaw is a guy that roided, and yet everyone wants him to beat the guy that's never roided.
TJ did pay his dues. People didn't.
I'm not saying he did.
He wasn't. He didn't get John Jones level like free pass.
Yeah.
People shit on TJ. But again, it's crazy that it's Aljo versus TJ Dillashaw, and Aljo's the villain. You know what I mean?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Like, where are we at? So, I get it. I know why there's some hate. Like, I totally understand that. But I think it's time to start giving Aljamain Sterling his dues. We originally thought of doing this video like 2 months ago, before International Fight Week, before the ESPYs.
Right.
And we wanted to do that, and basically it was because Aljamain Sterling was not nominated as Fighter of the Year, when he's done everything these other champions that were nominated have done. Like Leon Edwards, he's defended his belt once. Islam Makhachev has defended his belt once.
He's been so active. He's taken on all comers. He's
on top of that, the active part, he won his last fight and then was basically, like, the UFC insisted. Yeah. They forced him to take this fight against Sean O'Malley.
He literally said 2 months. He said it himself many times.
He said he didn't want to. He wanted an extra month. Yep. The UFC's like, no. Sean O'Malley's fighting you in Boston.
I mean, dude, they set up the like face to face.
Right. And so Aljo said he ruined my moment. Like, that was supposed to be my moment. The UFC kind of ruined, not kind of. The UFC like fucked me over.
Right.
They brought this guy in my cage when it's supposed to be my time. By the way, love the Marab stealing the jacket thing.
Yeah.
Unreal. Comedy Gold, another guy that's really hated Marab, and I think it's because of the association to Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think? It's the wrestling style?
I don't want to get into it right
okay,
now. Yeah.
So regardless, I think Aljamain Sterling, I think it's time to start giving him the respect he deserves. If he is not already the bantamweight GOAT, which a lot of people aren't ready for that conversation, I think he is the bantamweight GOAT.
Yeah, I mean,
if he's not, he's really close to it. Most title defenses, most wins in the bantamweight history. Who is? That's it.
Cejudo?
Right? Dominic Cruz, who knows?
Cruz?
Yeah,
I mean, those
that's it. He's on that short list at least, and he beat Henry Cejudo.
And I mean, yeah, he's put together. I mean, let's just read some of the names, right? Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, Pedro Munoz, Corey Sandhagen, Petr Yan twice, TJ Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo.
And that's now he's fighting the Sugar Show.
And now, of course, this weekend, he's fighting Sugar Sean O'Malley. In our breakdown video, you can see what we think about what's going to happen in that fight. But no matter what happens, I mean, if he beats Sean O'Malley, like, here's an up-and-coming young guy now who's a powerful striker. On the feet, not a great matchup for him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the fights are all close. Beat him then.
That's it.
Finish him then.
That's what it boils down to. So people think he's not beating these guys, like, handedly enough. He's not getting finishes besides the injury to TJ Dillashaw. It's boring because he's the human backpack. But it's not boring when someone you want to win is doing it, right?
It's not boring when Khabib's doing it, or
Islam, and I don't mean to stick on the Russians, but like Chimaev, he's very exciting. He gets finishes very quickly, so I get why it's not like that. But there are boring ass fighters in the UFC. There are boring wrestlers.
Some people you say Lyoto was boring. Some people you say GSP was boring.
So it is what it is. I think it's time to start giving him his respect. He hasn't lost since 2018. He's defending his belt often. He went to Dubai last time and fought Peter. Was that the Peter Yan fight in Dubai? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That was Dillashaw. He went and fought Dillashaw in Dubai last time out. Sorry, it was at UFC 280, I think. He's going everywhere. He's fighting everybody. He's not saying no. Yeah, he took some time off after the first Peter Yan fight for his surgery, and that's kind of when he became the villain, because people were like, you need to give him that rematch, like, now. It's like, no, I'm going to take my time and get better.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there were a lot of optics that didn't look good. At the end of the day,
but he played into it.
He did play into it, but at some point, you have to... What are we talking about? Are we talking about who is the most liked fighter, or are we talking about quality? If you put him against any bantamweights in the history... Like, he's got a good chance he beats pretty much everybody. And he's shown that he's beaten most people.
Yeah.
So, say what you will, he's unbelievable, and he definitely doesn't deserve, at this point, we are at least a couple years removed now, he doesn't deserve, we let people slide in this fan base, which can be a very toxic fan base.
Absolutely.
We let people slide for a lot of things, and the top fighters, and lower level fighters, and all kinds of shit. So...
They get away with it and we forget.
I think Aljo deserves a break at this point. It's been long enough. He's paid his dues. And, now if he loses this fight against Sean O'Malley.
If he loses this fight, the UFC gives him no rematches.
It's gonna take away so much for him. And
Absolutely.
And it shouldn't take away that much.
It shouldn't. Sean O'Malley is a really good fighter.
And also, it doesn't take away the results of the other fights. So, I don't know. It's just...
I don't know. It's a weird... He's in such a weird situation. I would, of course, love to see Aljamain Sterling defend his belt here. And I am a Sean O'Malley fan myself. But I would love to see him defend this belt. I would love to see him get the opportunity to fight Alexander Volkanovski. I think that could be a huge super fight for the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also love Merab, even though you're going to withhold your judgment. I would love for Merab to get his chance versus either Cheeto or Sandhagen for the vacant belt. Aljo is the GOAT of 135 in my opinion, and if you disagree, I think you're wrong.
Or if you disagree specifically just for fuck Aljo,
right?
Like,
Academy Award winner and all this. It's okay. You can't disagree that the guy is an absolute savage and he kills it in there.
No question.
Anything else, DS?
No. I'm excited for the fight, man.
He's DS. I'm Dino Bam Bam. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, we would really appreciate it if you can click the little subscribe button, click the thumbs up, ring the little bell. That'll notify you when our videos drop. You can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. Same way it's spelled on our channel here. Anything else, Dino?
No, sir.
All right, guys. Peace.